I'm George Pettit. I had a wonderful experience. I had wonderful teachers. I had a wonderful experience in FFA. I put a lot into it, put a lot of energy and effort into it. Generally, if you put a lot of energy and effort into something, you're going to be rewarded with something coming back to you. But my experience in FFA was the foundation of my future, to be quite frank with you. Without the skills that I was able to accumulate and learn in the FFA programs, I wouldn't have been near the person I was later on in life. I've had an exciting life since FFA. Since I got out of the University of Kentucky, I've had an exciting life. I farmed. I went home and started farming, and I was fortunate enough to be Young Farmer of the Year in the state of Kentucky. I went on to become president of Kentucky Pork Producers. That FFA experience served me well in that endeavor. I went on to become a member of the Board of Directors of the National Pork Producers Council, the Board of Directors of the National Livestock and Meat Board, and also went on to the Executive Committee of the Pork Council. As a member of the Executive Committee, I chaired the first legislative committee that the Pork Council put together, and I was kind of played a real active role in getting the Pork Council involved in the political aspects of agriculture. Later, I moved over to chairman of the Consumer Product Marketing Group of the Pork Council, in which we played a very active role in fermenting pork, the other white meat. As a matter of fact, I kind of came up with that slogan, and we fermented it while I was that chairman. I left that, went back home, finished farming, sold out in the mid-'80s, and started a brand new career in the seed business. And my FFA experience served me even better in the seed business than my farming experiences and the other events that I had been involved in. And so from that point on, I led sales in the seed industry 22 or 28 years. Now, let me paraphrase one thing here. When I say I, that is a plural for we, because in my life, I have not done much, but a lot of we's have helped put me where I am today and allowed me to be what I am. So I want that everybody, if I use the word I, it is plural for we. So moving forward, I've had just a rich experience. Well, there was a multitude of them. I was fortunate enough to be district star farmer, state FFA president. I was chairman of the president chapter meeting team that won the state. I participated in state public speaking contest and did really well there. Went on to, I interviewed for national FFA president. I was humbled by that event. I was humbled by somebody who was really, really good, but it was a great experience. And the experiences that I received in FFA were just, I mean, it just continued to pay. It's just incredible. The people I met, Howard Downing, Jerry Rango, even Kenneth Kennedy in 64, 65, an incredible young talent. Steve Meredith, who went on. I mean, I remember Steve, and I was so proud of Steve and the way he did. These things that just went on. Jerry Linton from Chillicothe, Missouri, absolutely one of the most incredible men that agriculture has ever produced. And his life was cut short, but his impact was huge and large. And I guess Jerry had, of all the people I've ever met, Jerry had a really powerful influence on what I have done in this world and how I've tried to live it. So those people, the people that I've associated with, they all were part of my life, and I studied those people and I tried to emulate those people as I moved forward. Sometimes I failed, you know, they might not have been too proud of me from a time or two, but I got through it anyhow.
Tell us a little bit about the highlight experience you had on the trip to Korea.
Well, that was just a profound influence. It opened my eyes to a world that I had no idea existed. It showed me that in this world, this big wide world that we live in, that there's a different culture and a different way of viewing things. And I was so humbled by that experience. We went to a leper colony. There's not many people in the world ever been to see a leper. Nobody's ever been to a leper colony that I know of in my realm of people. So that experience in that leper colony, that was so humbling. It was just profound the way those people were caring for those lepers and the cleanliness. We visited orphanages where the mixed race children were taken in that were abandoned in South Korea. And the people working in these orphanages and the love and the care and the concern and the development of these young people. And it just affected my life beyond anything I'd ever experienced before. I guess the one event in Korea humbled me the most. We were going down into a subway underground in Seoul, and there was a beggar sitting on the steps going down, and he had had a leg amputated, and it was reeking with infection, and he had a cup. And there's no telling how many tens of thousands of people went by that man during the day, and nobody stopped to help. And I looked at him, and I wanted to stop, and the guide, he pushed us on. And he said, no, he said, move on. And from that day on, I've always made sure if somebody had less fortune than me, I'm going to stop and help them. Because I didn't get to stop that day to help that person. But from that day on, I have stopped to help. And I don't intend to stop helping either. So that trip to Korea there's several of us boys went over there. We went over as boys. Some of us came back richer for the experience. Some of us came back more humbled from the experience, and I was one that was humbled from it. And so it influenced all of us. And Mr. Burton, the ag advisor that went with us from Somerset or in that area over there, Mr. Burton was a wonderful person to go over there with. He was a great advisor, and he guided. I mean, you got teenage boys. He did a really good job of keeping us in line. The FFA camp, I just love going to FFA. Lawrence Hall was a state president out of Caldwell County in the mid-50s. And I always thought Lawrence was the neatest guy there ever was. I was a whole lot younger than he was. Not now, but I was then. So anyhow, Lawrence had Mr. Maddox. Mr. Maddox was his teacher. And my daddy and Mr. Maddox were very tight. They just liked each other. They got along with each other. And then when we went to FFA camp, I went as a freshman in high school. And I went all 4 years. And I just had the biggest time up there. Mr. Maddox was just such a steady rock. And you could just tell, he had command of the children. He had command of the young people. And FFA camp was a learning experience. You got to meet all of these different people from these different cultures, backgrounds, and different parts of the state, and it just enriched your life. It was an outstanding program to bring us together. State conventions. I started going to national conventions when I was a freshman in high school. We went to Kansas City, and we would drive out there. It was an old road then. We had a little bit of interstate in 1956, 57, from about St. Louis to Columbia, and the rest of it was two-lane road. Boy, it was a trip to Kansas City. And then the state conventions, I came every year. It was a Seelbach Hotel, and we had a lot of great speakers. Jerry Litton made a wonderful talk there. There's a gentleman by the name of Poor from Neosho, Missouri. He won the National FFA public speaking contest, and he spoke to us, and he really gave a great speech. And then let's see, Howard gave a good talk when he was state president, and the other person, of course, Mr. Montgomery started off when I was in FFA. He was the state director, Mr. W.C. Montgomery, and then Mr. Kelly. I was his first president, and I never will forget. I was standing up there, and a fellow by the name of Wilson White, he was the mayor of Louisville. And he came in and gave us the introduction, and he welcomed us to Louisville and all of that. And so it was my first duty, and so I thanked him for being there. And then as he was leaving the thing, I was a country boy, and I said goodbye, I thought that was the proper thing to say. Well, Mr. Kelly didn't think that was very proper. And I tell you, to this day, I still laugh about it because it really tore him up that I said goodbye to the mayor. And so anyhow, we had a lot of fun with that. FFA camp, I'll tell you a cute story. You may have to edit this one. But we were having swim meet. We had an old boy from Caldwell County named Lindell Murray. And Lindell was a super swimmer. And so he was jumping out of the pool after winning his race. The water caught in his swim trunks, and it kind of denuded him right there in front of everybody. As when he was coming up out of the pool, he's had a big oops moment. He dived back in. But I mean, people's eyes turned red. They was laughing so hard over that. That was a funny event. I had Wallace Gray and Wood Holloway. Both were World War II vets. They both had come out of the war, gone to school on a veterans program. And then they came in to teach us young kids about agriculture. But Mr. Gray and Mr. Holloway both taught more about life than they did ag, because they knew we all came from the farm. They weren't going to tell us much about a farm we hadn't already figured out. But they gave us the desire to look and to learn. And these were incredible men. You got to realize, Mr. Gray was in the Battle of the Bulge. And this man survived horrific hours and days. And then he comes in and he guides and directs this group of young people. And he was competitive. And that's the reason we did well in chapter meeting. That's the reason I was able to do well in public speaking. And he pushed us. He pushed us to achieve more. And we had a lot of, back in the 50s, you know, we were pretty rural. I mean, it was pretty rural in Caldwell County, but he was able to push us to learn, to expand our horizons, and to have a bigger dream. And that's what Mr. Gray did, and Mr. Holloway did too. Even though he was not my instructor at that time, he was a part of the team. And that group of men is part of that greatest generation that America had. And without a doubt, those people prepared my generation to go on, and I'm not sure that we made them all proud all the time, but we just absolutely didn't totally fail them. And so I feel like that Mr. Eldridge played a critical role in my life because I thought he was such a neat person, that he was a great teacher and he had such great presence. And you and Jimmy Thompson and his son Charles and Walter and all of those boys that came out of that program, y'all were inspirations to me. Focus and passion. If you don't have focus, if you don't have passion for that focus, you're not going anywhere in this world, period. I don't care how many times you fail. Failure is a part of getting to where you want to go. Don't get disappointed by your failure. Be it a learning experience. You stay focused on the prize, you stay focused, and you have the passion to pursue it. Because there's one thing about it. Courage is a desire and the ability to endure the dream. And you've got to have the courage to get there. And the American dream, that's what this whole nation's about. It's not about anything else. It's about that dream and your desire and ability to fulfill your own dream. And to me, if you do anything, focus and have passion.